Tears gathered in Mama Muna's eyes. What do you want me to do? Papa Muna looked at her and said, take Muna to your village. Let her stay there. Moya's wedding is coming and people will come from far and near. I don't want them to come here and see Muna looking like this. Mama Muna felt as if hot water had been poured on her. She could not believe what she was hearing. So you want me to take Muna away from our own father's house because of Moya's wedding? Papa Muna nodded. Yes, it is for the best. I am tired of this shame. Mama Muna's lips shook. You are choosing Moya's wedding over your daughter? Papa Muna looked away, unable to meet her eyes. In the other room, Muna was sitting on the floor listening to everything. Tears fell from her eyes as she hugged her knees tightly. She could not believe her father was sending her away because she was now hungry. That night, Mama Muna could not sleep. She sat outside looking at the moon, tears rolling down her cheeks. Muna came and sat beside her and they hugged each other, crying quietly. Mama, why is the world so wicked to me? Muna whispered. Mama Muna kissed her forehead. My child, I don't know, but God sees everything. The next morning, very early, while the cock was still crowing, Muna woke Mama Muna up. It is time, please leave now, he said coldly. Mama Muna stood up, tied her wrapper and wiped her tears. She went inside and woke Muna up. My daughter, we have to go. They said we should leave, she said softly. Muna opened her eyes and tears began to flow immediately. She sat up slowly, looking around the hall that had been her home, her heart breaking. They packed their small bags, just 2 old bags with wrappers, a small cooking pot and a broken mirror. They tied the bags with old cloth as they stepped out of the hut. Moya and her mother were standing outside watching them. Moya was wearing a bright new wrapper, smiling, while Mama Moya crossed her hands on her chest. Good riddance, Mama Moya whispered to Moya. Muna and her mother did not look at them. They held their small bags and began to walk down the narrow bush path, leaving the village. The early morning dew wet their feet, and the birds chirped as if nothing was happening. But in Mama Muna and Muna's heart, it felt like the sky was falling. Muna turned back one last time to look at the village she grew up in. The place where she was once the pride of the village. The place where young men brought her yams and palm wine, and tears rolled down her face. Now, they were sending her away like a shameful secret. Muna and her mother arrived at Mama Muna's village after many hours of walking along the narrow bush path. Their legs were dusty and their feet hot. They were tired, hungry, and their hearts were heavy. Mama Muna led her daughter through the small village road, holding a bag on her head, while Muna carried a smaller bag. Muna covered her head and part of her face with a wrapper, but even with the wrapper, her thin body and dry arms were visible. People in Mama Muna's village were sitting under trees, pounding yam or roasting corn when they saw them coming. At first, they did not recognize who it was, but as Muna and her mother came closer, people's eyes grew wide with shock. Some women covered their mouths whispering, "Is that a spirit?" Some children who were playing with sticks dropped them and ran away screaming, "Masquerade! Masquerade!" Muna heard them and felt tears forming in her eyes. She tried to hide her face deeper inside the wrapper, but it did not help. People were still looking and moving away from the road to avoid coming close to her. Mama Muna held her daughter's hand. My child, just keep walking, don't mind them. They finally reached Mama Muna's late mother's house, which was now empty with cracks on the mud walls and dry leaves on the ground. Mama Muna opened the door and they stepped inside. They dropped their small bags and sat down, tired and quiet. Muna looked around the small house, remembering the stories her mother used to tell her about how her grandmother would cook sweet palm nut soup in the small house. Now it was dusty and empty, and she was sitting there like a shadow of herself. They had not even rested well when a tall man wearing a red cap and holding a long staff arrived. He was one of the king's guards. "Good afternoon," the guard said with a loud voice. Mama Muna stood up quickly. "Good afternoon, sir. The king wants to see you and your daughter now," the guard said. Muna and her mother's hearts beat fast with fear. Why did the king want to see them so soon? Had they done something wrong already? Mama Muna tied her wrapper well and held Muna's hand. "Let's go." they walked to the king's palace, people followed them. Some carried their children, standing at a distance, watching Adigo as if they were looking at a strange animal. Some whispered, "She looks like a ghost," while others said, "Is she really human?" Mona had everything and her eyes were full of tears, but she did not cry out loud. She held her mother's hand tightly. They arrived at the king's palace, a large mud building with a big compound where goats and chickens moved around freely. The king was sitting on a wooden chair with a carved lion's head, wearing a long white cloth with beads on his neck. When the king saw her, he gasped and covered his mouth, his eyes wide in shock. People gathered at the palace, pressing against each other, trying to see Muna clearly. The king looked at Muna. "Woman, what has happened to your child?" Muna knelt down with tears in her eyes. "My king, please forgive us for causing fear in the village. My daughter was once the most beautiful girl in our village, but something happened to her. Her beauty disappeared overnight, and now people run away from her." She explained quickly how men once came with yams and palm wines for Muna, and how they woke up one morning to find her looking like this, and how her father sent them away because people were laughing at them. The king looked at Muna again and his eyes softened. He sighed, "You can stay in this village," but Muna must not scare people unnecessarily. "Let her stay inside the house always, so the villagers will not be afraid." Muna nodded. "Thank you, my king. We will obey." Muna and her mother returned to the small house. From that day, Muna stayed indoors always. She would only come outside very early in the morning when the sky was still dark, or late at night when people were inside their huts. Muna fetched water, cooked, and went to the market to sell firewood and vegetables to get small money for them to eat. Muna would help by washing the plates inside the house or cleaning the floor, but her heart was always heavy. She missed seeing the sun. She missed laughing with her friends, and she missed being the beautiful Muna that everyone loved. One day, without any warning, Mama Muna felt terribly sick. Started coughing heavily and her body became hot like fire. She could not get up from the mat and her eyes were always closed. She would whisper, "Water, water," and Muna would bring water to her, helping her drink. Muna was afraid. She had never seen her mother so weak before. She sat beside her mother, holding her hand, tears falling from her eyes. "Mama, please don't leave me." Muna would cry softly, but Mama Muna would not reply. She only squeezed Muna's hand weakly. For the first time since they came to the village, Muna had to go out alone to fetch water and buy house for her mother. Early in the morning, she wrapped herself well with a thick wrapper, covering her head and part of her face, and carried a clay pot to the river. As she walked, people saw her and ran away, some screaming in fear. At the river, men were washing clothes and fetching water. When they saw her, they shouted, dropping their clothes, and ran away, leaving buckets and clothes behind. Muna stood there, her hands shaking, tears filling her eyes. She bent down and began to fetch water, tears dropping into the pot as she filled this. As she turned to leave, she saw that even children were hiding behind trees, peeping at her and running away when she turned. Muna walked home slowly, crying, carrying the heavy pot on her head while people ran away from her as she passed. Suddenly, a voice called, "Wait, let me help you." Muna stopped and turned slowly. Standing before her was a young farmer named Kari. Kari was tall with strong arms from working on the farm, and he had kind eyes that made people feel warm. Kari looked at Muna with compassion. He did not run away like the others. He did not laugh at her. He smiled gently. "Give me the pot. I will help you carry it home." Muna's eyes widened and her lips trembled. "Are you not afraid of me?" Kari shook his head. "I know you are a human being. You need help and I will help you." Muna could not believe it. She slowly lowered the pot from her head and Kari lifted it with ease, balancing it on his strong shoulder. They began to walk together. Muna walked beside him, her heart beating fast. She kept looking at him, wondering why he was not afraid, why he was not laughing at her. As they walked, people peeped from their huts, whispering, "Is Kari mad? Why is he walking with that spirit?" But Kari did not mind them. He turned to Muna and smiled. "Don't listen to them. You're still a human being and you deserve kindness." Tears rolled down Muna's face. But this time, there were tears of surprise and a small light of happiness in her heart. When they reached Adigo's house, Harry helped her put the pot down and said, "If you need help, let me know. I will help you." Mona looked at him, her lips shaking. "Thank you, Harry. Thank you very much." Harry smiled and waved before walking back to his farm, while Mona stood there watching him until he disappeared down the path. For the first time in a long while, Mona felt hope in her heart. To be continued in a few hours. Please stay with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe and help share. Thank you so much for watching.